sir. Would you like to try a chocolate triangle?
I'd rather not.
Here, I'll show you one.
Didn't I say I didn't want one?
Well, I could solve 1.5 million of these. You see, this here side is longer than this here side. And then the opposite angle of this longer side is greater than the opposite angle of the shorter side. It's the same for all triangles, basically.
If one side of a triangle is longer than another side, then the angle opposite the longer side is larger than the angle opposite the shorter side. Side F is longer than side G, which means angle F is bigger than angle G.
Like my mama always said, life's like a box of chocolate triangles. You never know what you're gonna get. Like these two chocolate triangles. These two chocolate triangles have two congruent sides separated by an included angle. So how do you know which side has the third largest side? I'll show you.
The hinge theorem states that if two sides of one triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second triangle, then the third side of the first triangle is longer than the third side of the second triangle. Go.
Maybe I do want one.
Mr. Sir, can I tell you another story about I ran across this country?
No.
Well, I ran from coast to coast. I ran 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 16 hours, and I gained a few friends along the way. Once I decided to run home, I want to see how far I ran, so I retraced my steps. Turns out I ran in a triangle, but not just any triangle. A right triangle. Instead of figuring out how long the longest side was, I used my two shorter sides and the Pythagorean theorem.
The
The Pythagorean theorem. It states that in a right triangle, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And A and B being the legs, and C being the hypotenuse, or the long side, or the side opposite of the 90-degree or right angle.
To better explain Mr. Gump, the Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the two legs squared. Here's a helpful hint. Make sure when applying the Pythagorean theorem or its converse to have c squared set equal to a squared plus b squared and not in any other order.
Now here's the map of where I ran across the United States. You see, I started in the great state of Alabama, oh yeah, went all the way to Los Angeles, and then went up to one of them big old lakes that look like seas. I don't know how they're not seas, but the lakes, and then I swam a little bit, then I had to go all the way down to back to Alabama.
See, what if other people think that they've done ran in a right triangle? Well, they ain't sure. All I gotta do is square C, or the long side, and see if it's greater, less than, or equal to a squared plus b squared. See, if c squared is greater, then it's obtuse. If it's less than, it's cube. So, but if it's equal to the right.
I got you.
If the square of the length of the longest side of a triangle, or the hypotenuse, is less than the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides, or the legs, then the triangle is an acute triangle. So if a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, then the triangle is an acute triangle.
If the square of the length of the longest side of a triangle is greater than the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides, then the triangle is an obtuse triangle. That means a squared plus b squared is less than c squared makes it an obtuse triangle.
Go. Like my mama always said, life's like a box of chocolate triangles. You never know what you're gonna get. Like these two chocolate triangles. See here, they have two congruent sides.
Okay. Jesus.
The bear's gonna smack the squirrel in the tree.
Oh, he's right there. Come here.